Thank you, Chairman. Not to leave Twitter out, I wanted to ask a question regarding the sexual material online we talked about earlier. As it said, this committee has been a leader in stopping human trafficking and specifically sex trafficking underage kids, and we've passed some legislation that's making a difference. Based on a website called Bark, I see that it advises parents on how to keep their kids safe. Among the top 5 severe sexual content sites was Twitter. This year, it was widely reported that Twitter considered monetizing sexual content, meaning, as I understand it, people could actually get paid for pornography, basically, for putting sexual content online. My understanding this project has not been put on ice because a group of Twitter's employees found that the platform couldn't effectively separate out the child exploitation content, and I appreciate you did not go forward with this plan. According to Verge, the Twitter employees have said that despite executives knowing about the child sexual exploitation problems on the platform, they've not committed sufficient resources to detect, remove, and prevent this harmful content. Here's the news story, which I'd like to ask be made part of the record. So there are lots of issues here. One is you made the right decision not to monetize this explicit conduct at this time, which is really pursuing a pornography scheme as I see it. But I wonder if you can give us a commitment today to halting this program indefinitely so as to prevent the platform and bad actors from making money off of child sexual material.
Yeah, first, may I say that we abhor CSAM, the sharing of sexual material. I appreciate your work there. I worked on this here and also at Meta, so I've been working on this for years. I made that decision to pause this idea. It wasn't a product. It was a set of people had an idea that they thought they might want to pursue. I said, I want to look at all the information here and learn about where we stand, what the risks could be. And I think this is how the system should work. We looked at a product in its very early ideation and did the analysis and got the perspectives and said this is not appropriate for us to be doing. So that's how the process went.
Okay. So you've made a commitment today not to pursue it?
We are not. Oh, sorry, I turned my mic off. We are not pursuing that.
And you made a commitment not to pursue it in the future?
We have no plans to pursue monetization of adult content. That's correct.
You have no plans to do it? Can you just
That's
tell
correct.
us you're not going to do it? Can you just give us a
I'm not
answer?
planning to do it, no. Yeah.
You're not planning to?
I'm not doing it. How do I say this more clearly?
Just say you're not going to do it.
We're not planning to do it, no.
Yeah, can't get a planning out of there. Okay, not to, again, leave anybody out, Mr. Mohan, we haven't had a chance to talk yet. I want to ask you about something that is important to this committee, and I hope a way forward in terms of legislating and regulating platforms. Your platform's algorithms have been described as a black box, according to experts and researchers, meaning there's little to no transparency in the algorithms. I'm sure you've heard that before. And the question is there a way to come up with a transparency approach that makes sense as calls grow for Congress to pass legislation? I like the idea of having much better information than we have, getting behind the curtain and getting into that black box. That's why, along with Senator Chris Coons, I introduced this legislation, drafted this legislation called the Platform Accountability and Transparency Act, or PATA, P-A-T-A. And it would require the largest tech platforms to share data with vetted, independent researchers and other investigators so that we can know exactly what's happening. With regard to the privacy issues we've talked about today, or content moderation, product development, the sexual exploitation issues, key industry practices. So my question for you, Mr. Mohan, would you be supportive of legislation like PATA to get at this need for transparency for us to be able to legislate with better information?
Yes, Senator, I would be supportive of the spirit behind that regulation, and the reason why is because I agree with you. I do think that transparency around our practices, how we go about them, is an important thing. It's the reason why we've invested so heavily in our quarterly transparency report, which you may be familiar with. It's also the reason why we just a few weeks ago launched the YouTube Research Program, which is similar in my understanding to what the act that you're referring to is trying to get at, which is giving academic researchers access to our raw data, obviously in a user privacy sensitive way, where they can derive metrics or derive insights of their own based on that data. And we've taken it a step further where we will also provide technical support that these researchers might need to get at the insights that they're looking for. So I'm very bullish about that transparency program, and based on the feedback that we hope to get from researchers, look forward to enhancing it in the future as well.
Yeah, we are following your YouTube Researcher Program carefully. We're glad you created it. We want to see what the results are. We want to be sure these are independent individuals who will give actual information about, what the algorithms are, again, what's in the black box so that citizens can understand it better, and as legislators, we can legislate better. So I think that's a positive step. With regard to PATA, can I hear from the other members of the panel how you feel about this legislation? We've shared it with all of you. Hope to introduce it soon. And again, it would be bipartisan, and it would be one that would, I hope, give us a way forward as a first step. Mr. Cox? Any
Senator,
thoughts?
thanks. I know our teams have been in contact with yours on this. We are aligned that more transparency about content on our platform is a good thing. It's a good thing for the public. It's a good thing for the company. We also have an academic research program called FORT, where we've designed privacy-protected ways of sharing information with outside academics and researchers. We've also released a widely viewed content report, which helps folks get access to which content is seen the most times on the platform. Mm-hmm. We also publish quarterly a community standards enforcement report, which gets into categories of content by region and shows the work we're doing every day. So we're committed to working with you on this, and we think it
Okay,
could be
you've talked about regulations needed. Ms. Pappas, yes or no?
Senator, transparency builds trust. We were the first open platform to open our own transparency and accountability center, so for that specific reason, so people could take a look at our content moderation systems, recommendation systems as well. Last month, we announced that we'll be opening our API to researchers as well, so we'd be happy to support that legislation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sullivan.
Yes, we've been publishing data to researchers for years, and we're very open to anything that improves transparency, especially as AI moves forward. It's going to be very important.
It is important and it is needed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all.